because I called the fertility clinic and I'm like, okay, I'm calling them day 1 of my cycle. That means I'm going to be in there March, day 1 of my cycle, and like, we're good. I called them February 2022 and they were like, can't see you to April 12th. I said, April 12th?
That seemed like forever.
I said, I immediately like went to my app that was tracking my cycles, and I got so upset because I was like, that was a missed cycle. That was a missed month of trying.
So it's the
You ready?
Living with.
I guess it takes us into the story. Okay, this is the first video in which we are going to explain what has occurred for us and basically lay the premise for our fertility journey. So let's start from the beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning.
God made heaven and earth. Then he made me and her.
You're so ready to jump. We got a story tell. We got to start from the beginning.
Jump what?
Jump the gun.
To conclusions?
No. So starting from the beginning.
From the beginning.
We got married.
When? August 7th, 2021.
Yeah, so we got married August 7th, 2021. I was about to say 22. And that month, we started our journey. So we started our TTC journey, trying to conceive journey. And we honestly thought, like I think many people think, that it's going to be easy.
Really easy.
And so we were like, okay, we're going to have a honeymoon baby.
Honeymoon.
I even had co-workers trying to give different variations of baby names that rhymed with Mexico, because that's where we honeymooned. They didn't excel at it. But it didn't happen that quick, which sucked. It did, because just backing up a little bit, I was on birth control. I've been on birth control since probably my 9th grade year of high school due to some medical issues that I had. And then I got off of birth control the week before our wedding. And so I was under the impression, like many, that because I was on birth control, my body was going to have to detox off of birth control. And so when it didn't happen in August, I just assumed that it was me. My body was detoxing from birth control. So we said, okay, it didn't happen this month. We'll try next month. So we tried in September and still nothing. And I Google things. So I Googled and I was like, well, what are the percentages? And it was like, most couples will get pregnant within 12 months. Your chances increase once you hit the 6-month mark. And so my prayer became, okay, I hope that we're pregnant by December. Fast forward to October. I go for my annual pap smear and I tell my OBGYN that my husband and I are trying to conceive. He told me, he tells his patients, don't say that you're trying to have a baby because then it seems like this process and it's supposed to be fun. And in my mind, I'm like, okay.
Exciting.
And so, yeah. Fast forward, well, no, not really fast forward. So he tells me that 2 things can happen. 1, we can just continue trying, have fun with it, and we should be pregnant by March. And he was like the springtime, meaning March. Or he said we can get proactive and do the ovulation kits. And so if we did the ovulation kits, he mentioned that we had a better chance each month. So I called Chris and I was like, here, this is what the doctor said. And we were both on this, we want to have a baby. And so we decided to get started with the ovulation kits. So now I'm thinking, okay, the ovulation kits, it means that like next month when we do the ovulation kits, like done deal, welcome a baby to the world. We do the ovulation kits, month 1, nothing. Month 2, nothing. And we're hitting December. And like December was like my threshold. So I was like, okay, starting in August, by December, we should have a baby, or we should be pregnant. And it didn't help that people who got married around the same time that we did were announcing their pregnancies. And so I started to feel like something was wrong with me. I started to say it was the birth control. It was the fact that I was on the pill since high school. Like I was telling Chris, like there's something wrong with me. I want to get checked out. I had an abnormal pap smear, so I had to go back to my OBGYN in January. So when I went to my doctor in January, I told him, I said, hey, we're still not pregnant. We're doing the ovulation kits. My cycle is regular and I'm not really understanding, you know, we're in January and March is seeming very close. And also the journey was not fun.
It wasn't.
Like
there was a lot of pressure.
And like each month that it was a negative test, yes, I was a test junkie. I was buying your 6 days sooner tests. I was buying your dollar store tests. And every time it was a negative, I was just like, oh my goodness. I even went to Patient First sometimes and took a blood test. Yeah. So spending money unnecessarily. So yeah, we're in January, and when I go back from my abnormal pap smear, I mentioned that the ovulation kits I feel like are not working. And so my doctor said, okay, give it 2 to 3 more cycles, and then if you're still not pregnant, we will have your husband get tested.
Well, wait, there's more. I went to the doctor for a unrelated reason, and I asked my doctor when I went. I mentioned to my doctor when I went that me and my wife were trying to have a baby, but nothing's really going on. He was asking me how long has she been on birth control. I proceeded to tell him like she's been on birth control for a while. He said, well, that has to get out of her system first. Then I said, but what if it's me? He said, nah, you're good. You're healthy, you're young, you're 25. At the time, I was 25. You're healthy, you're young, you'll be good. Just live life, have fun, and then the baby will come. So yeah, that's what I tried to do.
And what month was that?
I think that was January, February, around that time.
Yeah, so around the time when I was starting to feel like, again, that I was the problem. And so when I told the doctor that I wasn't getting pregnant, and then he said, you know, wait a couple more cycles, and then he would test Chris, he had mentioned that in his experience, a lot of cases have been male infertility. And he was saying that he's really big on starting off with a semen analysis because he doesn't like to put his female patients through all the fertility testing, and it's not them. And I was looking at him like, what? What do you mean? Like, it's not Chris, it's me. Like, I already gave him a history. Like, been on birth control since I was about 14 years old. Like, it's me. And so fast forward, my cycle comes in January. My cycle then comes in February, and I say, you know what? I'm not waiting on 3. He said 2 to 3, so we're gonna go with 2. And I remember, and Chris and I were already in agreement that we weren't going to go past the year of trying. And so like once August hit of 2022, like we were going to be like, excuse me, refer us.
Please.
But I just felt like something on my spirit saying, do it now. And so I sent my doctor an email on the portal. I said, hey, my cycle came. Can you refer us to a fertility clinic? And I was actually shocked that there was no pushback. He immediately sent the information over for the fertility clinic that they use. And I was like, oh, well, this was easy. Or so I thought, because I called the fertility clinic and I'm like, okay, I'm calling them day 1 of my cycle. That means I'm going to be in there March, day 1 of my cycle, and like, we're good. I called them February 2022, and they were like, can't see you till April 12th. I said, April 12th?
That seemed like forever.
I said, I immediately like went to my app that was tracking my cycles, and I got so upset because I was like, that was a missed cycle. That was a missed month of trying. And so I'm always trying to find a way around things. And I told Chris, I said, call. You call. You call and you schedule your own appointment and see if you get a date sooner. So he called to schedule a semen analysis, and they were like, we can see you on Friday. I was like, okay. Like, that made me excited because it was like, okay, once we can cancel him out, then the doctor will be like, okay, it is you. I've been told about Clomid. I don't know anything about Clomid. I know it's something that people take when they're on this journey. And so I was like, okay, Chris is going to go in. He's going to have a semen analysis. They're going to be like, it's not you. They're going to put me on Clomid. And then the next cycle, we're going to have a baby. Again, like in my mind, I was like, this is how it's going to go. These are my expectations for this process. My doctor gives Chris the referral to get the semen analysis. Did I miss something?
Yes.
What?
So the week of, right? The week of, I remember her vividly. We was walking down the apartment in the hallway. She was like, what if it's me, blah, blah, right? And I said, nah, it's probably not you. You good. It's probably me right now. Now I'm having doubts. You know what I'm saying? I'm having doubts now because she having doubts. I'm having doubts. I'm like, it's probably me. I'm probably the one, right?
And I was like, no, it's not you. Like, it is me. I was convinced. And so he has the semen analysis done. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm not even keeping track of when we could possibly get the phone call that his results are going to come in. That was in February, mid-February. Fast forward to like March 1st, first week of March, first couple of days. And I get a call from my doctor when I'm on the way home. Now, when I see my doctor's number pop up, and I'm driving, when I see my doctor's number pop up, I'm like, great, like this is the call I've been waiting for. He's gonna say like, oh, everything checked out and it's you, so this is what we're going to come in and do for you. And I'm like, okay, Dad, like this is a whole, how many days are there in March? 30? Like these are whole 31 days, I don't know, before the April 12th appointment, right? And so he calls me and I'm chippery because I've been waiting on this call, kind of, sort of. And I'm like, hello. And he's like, hello. And he's like, how are you? And this conversation made me not want to ask people how they are doing in return. Because I was like, I'm good. How are you? And his whole tone was like very negative. And my heart like sank a little bit. I don't know why, because I mean, I didn't think, you can get bad results from a semen analysis. And so I was just like, okay. And he tells me the results. He says that the results were no sperm. And I remember thinking that I heard him incorrectly because I'm like, I've heard of low sperm. No sperm? And then it's like, basic sex ed, like that is essential. And he like repeats himself and I'm like stuck. And then I think the doctor thought he was like helping me process it. And he started, giving the alternatives and saying, like there's the donor option and there's adoption. And I'm like, you just hit me with no sperm and you done immediately jumped to donor and adoption. Like, I was no good. And I know some people would say, as we head into the next part of the story, that I probably should have waited until Chris got home to tell him. But I called him immediately.
Boy, was that horrible. I remember that day like it was yesterday. She called me. She told me I was stuck for a little bit because I'm at work. I work in pharmaceuticals. So anybody knows anything about pharmaceuticals, you got to go into the lab. I haven't gone into the lab at that moment, but I was stuck and I had to go into the lab. That was hard.
Yeah, and I drove to his job because I passed it on the way home. And I was like, I just have to see him because he was like, he's okay. And I'm like, I know I'm not okay. So how are you okay? And so I drove to his job and I was like, come outside.
I got outside, tear. I'm like, dang, I guess I'm not good then. She pulls up, I walk to the car, and I'm smiling at first. Get in the car, close the door, hysterical.
Right, and I was like, see, told you. And I'm just like so upset. I don't necessarily know what I'm upset of. Well, I think I do. People who know me know that I am like Chris's biggest protector. Like, I try to protect all aspects of his life. And the fact that I had to deliver the news and there was nothing I can do about it, in regards to like his circumstance, was really taking a toll on me, because I like to be a fixer. And in this instance, I had never heard about anybody who tested with no sperm, so I didn't know how to help him. Like, I didn't know how to be like, well, this is what we're going to do. And I emailed my doctor and I'm like, can you like tell me like what this part of the result means? And he's like, I can't, like, you guys have to, you're now officially patients of the fertility clinic. And I was like, okay. So I called the fertility clinic the next day, first thing in the morning, get through to somebody, and I'm like, my husband got these results, and they say, okay, we'll call you back to schedule an appointment. They call us back. You remember what day your appointment got scheduled for? Because I do. You remember?
No.
April 11th.
Oh, yeah. The day before.
I said, oh my goodness, we still had to go. Because I'm telling you, like, this probably was March 2nd. So we still had like a month and a half before we would get any sort of answers. And I went to Google. He wouldn't look up anything. I went to Google immediately.
Of course not. When you get, as a man, you get a result, no sperm. This is the things you talk about as a boy. You know, you get older and I guess you would say shooting blanks. That's something that you don't want to do, or that's something that you don't want to happen. So just the simple fact that that's playing in my head, I'm like, I'm 25, I'm young, healthy, and I'm shooting them? Wow. What a waste. That's what I'm feeling in my head. So I'm like, nah, I can't look it up. There's no way.
For me, I'm looking up no sperm success stories, because I'm like, I'm not ready to jump to donor sperm, and I'm not ready to jump to adoption. Like, I want to know people who have success stories. So I call my best friend and I tell her the news, and she's like, I watched something on Netflix about this. And I'm like, girl, what?
Yeah, them two? Crazy.
And she's like, yeah, like they did a surgery and they found something. And I'm telling Chris, like, there's a story on Netflix about this. And so Google doesn't really give a lot of hope, because it makes it seem like if you have no sperm, then your chances of fathering a biological child are slim. However, when we eventually had our appointment on August 11th, mind you, I'm not off the hook. I'm not off the hook. I still think it's me. I'm just like, it must be the both of us. So, and
I'm trying to tell her, like, listen, we didn't got the results back. It's me.
But I hadn't been tested. So I'm like, it could be the both of us, and then it just gets like a little squiggly line. But and so where are we? April 11th, we meet his doctor, and I'm expecting the worst at this point, but she gives really good news until the end. So it's like, we're like going up, like, oh, okay, here are our options. And then it's like, because she's like, if you have the Y chromosome microdeletion, there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
And so I'm like, you done told us, ICSI with IVF and the microtesty surgery. And then you say, but if your blood work comes back and shows that you have this Y chromosome microdeletion, then that means your body just doesn't make sperm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like, how quick do we get these results back? They were like, it could take 4 weeks. So I'm starting to get irritated with this whole fertility journey, because I'm like, I called in February. You couldn't see me till April. You see me in April, and then you can't give me results for 4 more weeks. Like, what is up?
What's going on?
But he has a physical the following week and another semen analysis. And so I'm like, okay, when he goes for this physical, like, I'm not going to be worried about his blood work, because you start praying for things that you might not pray for when it feels like the better alternative. So I'm praying for him to have some sort of obstruction. And you're probably like, why would you want him to have an obstruction? Well, because Google said if he has an obstruction, then there's sperm somewhere, but it's blocked. So I was like, all right, God, let's pray for an obstruction. You can explain.
For an obstruction too.
But you
So I get to the physical. First of all, I am totally embarrassed because, again, as a man, or some guys, I don't know, but me personally, I don't like just being seen, I guess, or being touched. So I get there. She's like, take this off, and put this. And I was so confused because she was like, put this hot packet over your private parts, right? And I'm thinking like, well, I know in school they said radiation kills sperm, hot stuff, like you sit in a hot tub, kills sperm. I'm thinking like, these people crazy.
And mind you, sorry, just to jump back, before he got there, and even before he got his semen analysis results, I was already telling him he likes to take baths. He's like, get out of the bathtub, check the water. The water better not be too hot. And I'm telling him, like, make sure you wear boxers to bed. Like, I've already completely changed everything.
Yeah.
I was obsessed. But keep going.
But yeah, I got there. I put the hot compressant on my private. Over my private, I'm thinking, like, this is crazy. This is the end. They gonna start. This is a trick. They ain't gonna do anything for me. So I get there. She comes in. The doctor comes in. She checks me, and it's quick. It's fairly quick. She checks everything, and she says, "Well, you don't have a blockage." So I'm thinking like, "Oh, dang." But it was something of like the pituitary gland. She said it might not be communicating down low. That it needs to produce sperm, or I might not have enough testosterone and things of that nature. So then I asked her about my testes, and I was like, well, I think I fairly have little testes. And she was like, well, you do. And I believe, I'm not sure if it's millimeters or centimeters. I'm not sure what the measurements are, but she was telling me that I was 20. I'm guessing in diameter, centimeters. It's supposed to be like this. That's an average male, by the way. I have 8 to 5. It's in between 8 and 5. So I was like, yo, that ain't good.
Yeah, and mind you, I'm at work. And so he's texting me this while I'm at work. And anyone who has been on a fertility journey knows the highs and lows. And so when he told me there was no blockage, my mind immediately went for the worst. And my day, I felt like, was ruined. And I'm a teacher, so I'll do a whole other video about all this news and teaching. And then he texted me about the measurements of his testes. And all I could do was laugh at this point because I'm like, what is going on here? Like, listen, what is happening?
I done made jokes for about a week, so.
And I'm like, okay, well, we have one more like change in our prayer. He has to have another semen analysis, and that result will come in before the blood work.
By the way, semen analysis for any guys that either have done it or are going to do it, the hardest thing. I know in the shows, and they say, they give you a magazine and they let you watch something, or your wife. By the way, I was at home by myself. No, the hardest 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes of my life.
Thanks for that tidbit. So, you made me. I'm just imagining you struggling. Okay. Where were we? Semen analysis. Yes. Yeah. So I had read that before they diagnosed you with azoospermia, and I might be saying it wrong, so I'll put it up there. So azoospermia, you have a second semen analysis, and if it comes back with the same results, then that's when they will say like, hey, you have azoospermia. So now, we done prayed for obstructions. There's no obstructions. So now I'm praying for low sperm. I'm like, God, I'm not even going to jump. I'm just going to stay real surface level with it. And I want to move from no to low. Again, why are we praying for low sperm? I don't know, but this journey just makes you pray certain things, say certain things.
In reality, we would rather pray for not a specific thing, but just for good,
Right, and low sperm would have been good news because then it confirms that his body produces it. Because I was still stuck at the fact that his body might not produce it. And so he gets his semen I get to see the analysis results because I have the passcode to his portal. And so
I also work in
Yeah.
the evening, so it was going to be very hard for me to look at my results.
yeah. So I look because I want to know. And it says the same thing again. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she sends that screenshot to me, and I'm looking like, dang.
So now I'm like, okay, only hope we have left is this genetic testing. And so the genetic testing results are supposed to come out around his birthday, and I don't want to ruin his birthday, so I don't ask for them because I really wanted to like send a message on his portal and be like, hey, can you send those results over? But I waited until after his birthday, and we're laying in bed one day, and I like mentioned his results, and he's like, oh yeah, I got an email from LabCorp saying my results are ready.
But mind you, I had got that results. I think I got the results like around like May 3rd or something like
His
that.
birthday's May.
May 8th.
Right. So,
I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was like something totally different. I didn't think it was the genetics testing.
So I'm like, let me open it. And at first he's like, okay, you can open it. But then he's like, no, I'm going to open it first. So I'm watching his facial expressions, and he's making a lot of faces. And so I'm like, it is bad. He's still trying to log in. He's making faces while he's creating his login. So when I looked over his shoulder and saw that, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, fix your face. So he finally logs in, and in my mind, I'm like, you don't even know what you're looking for. Like, you're like,
That is so true.
he's like reading everything. I'm like, we could go back. We need to find where it talks about this Y chromosome. We're going to start there and then read everything else.
And I saw numbers, and I saw words, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But what does it mean?
Right. And Google, we have a cup that says your wife knows everything. And so I was like, I know enough to know what I'm looking for. So we get to the Y chromosome part, and it says what?
What did it say?
Wives that are going through this process with their husbands know that we hold all the knowledge, all the doctor's appointments, all the results. His results said
47 chromosomes.
yes. No, we're still at the Y chromosome.
Oh, XXY.
No, you done jumped. It said there was no micro deletion. That's where we were getting at.
Oh.
It said that there was no micro deletion. So I was like, praise God, amen. Then we keep reading his results, and it says he has Klinefelter syndrome. And I was like, what is that?
But then it also said 47 chromosomes. So then I'm looking at my head. I'm thinking like, wow. Because in health, you learn that anybody knows pretty much. Everyone in this world has at least 46 chromosomes. You have an extra chromosome or you don't have a chromosome. I never heard of anybody with 45, but you have an extra chromosome, then there's something wrong. Or you have a genetic disorder or something.
Yeah, so when it says 47 and Klinefelter syndrome, I immediately go and look it up because I'm like, what is this? When I look up Klinefelter syndrome, it is, see, look at you making all those faces still. I'm happy that he doesn't have a Y chromosome microdeletion, but now I'm nervous again because, again, Googling Klinefelter syndrome, it's not looking good. Because then it's saying those with Klinefelter syndrome after puberty. So like before puberty, there's things that they can do. They can freeze their sperm. And I'm like, well, he's past puberty. He's 26. And then it's like your sperm count starts to decline and there can be no sperm. And so I'm still like, now I'm happy because I'm like, well, the doctor didn't mention, they can't do anything if you have KS. And I'm sure she's seen people with KS. And we see the results the same week that he sees the doctor. So we probably see the results on like Sunday night, and he sees the doctor that week on Thursday. So we also saw his
testosterone.
Thank you. Levels. We Googled that. We thought it was low. I would stop Googling things.
Super low.
Because we get to the doctor on Thursday, and she's explaining like, since he has KS, we will be moving forward with ICSI, with IVF. as well as him doing a micro-testy procedure. And she mentioned that since he has KS, she didn't necessarily feel as if it was, and we don't really know that much about KS, but I'm going to say it didn't seem like an extreme KS. And I don't even know if that makes sense. But basically, she was saying that his testy size and his testosterone levels were much higher than those with KS. So that did give me hope. And so I'm like, okay, there I feel like is a higher possibility that they're going to go in and that they are going to find sperm. So that is where we are in this journey. I can't say I'm 100% confident, but with each post, which sharing our story, and I'm sure there will be more outpouring of love now that people know our full story, I do feel more confident in them being able to find something.
Definitely more confident. I mean, me personally, I have faith in this process. I tend to not have faith in myself, but
in the process with us as a couple, I have faith
that, you know, they'll find something, or at least, you know, I've been praying at least 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, not 10. You know, I don't have to have 10 healthy. Just 4, so they can freeze them. It'll be good.
Yeah. So that's where we are. We are planning to bring you all along this journey. So we will have more parts and more videos. We'll come back and we'll discuss more in regards to what happened with my appointment. Because like I said, I was scheduled to start my whole fertility workup the day after his initial meeting with the urologist. And so welcome to our channel, welcome to our journey, and thank you for becoming a part of our support system. We feel as if, you know, infertility is not something that's always talked about. I'm 25, I'll be 26 in July. He's 26, and I just feel like sometimes the face of infertility is people who are older than us.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we just wanted to say, you know, that you never know. You just never know. And so we hope that we can be a support system to others as well.
For sure.
So this is us signing off.
Sayonara.